Hey, all you wonderful listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning into our podcast. If you would like to support the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast, make sure we can continue to do this. Head over to aapodcast.com/join, or hey, you can go over to Patreon. No matter where you support us, you're going to be getting our hentai episodes, our hobby addicts, and our after parties every month. 8 exclusive podcast episodes just for you as a thank you for you supporting us. And now, time to start the show.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at aapodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Hey everybody, welcome to the 591st episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Our sole mission is to make your anime addiction worse. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you're listening from. I am so happy to have you here joining us today on this fine August afternoon or evening. And of course, I am your host, Mitsuki. I'm joined by a duo. Two hosts, one mic. It's Caroline and Mason. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Collectively, we are here.
Yep.
In the same room. I'm not touching you.
I'm not touching you.
That's what we've been doing all day. It's I can't believe, actually more amazing than the fact that we're in the same room is that we are 9 episodes away from 600 episodes.
True.
That's obscene.
But also very amazing is that we were able to combine our technology to make this possible, which did not seem to be all that complicated at first, but it became really complicated.
I don't know if we can overstate how jank our setup is. We are on tables on top of tables. We have multiple laptops, most of which are doing nothing except acting as glorified camera stands. So we are glad that we are here to bring you this episode. Hopefully we don't sound too jank in the recording, and yeah, glad to be here.
They're going to do a fusion dance sometime between the news break and the mailbag later on in the show. So they've been practicing their fusion dance all week. So you're going to want to stick around for that for those of you that are on twitch.tv/AAA podcast live Sundays at 5 p.m. We're also on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Discord. Check out our Discord. We got our anime club. We got our manga club. We got the what have yous. You know you want to hang out. You don't want to hang out with like the 2,200 people that are on the Discord. Pretty big community. So head over there from AAApodcast.com. You can get to the Discord, of course. Guys, today we're going to be doing a Love at First Watch, or as I think I'd like to call it, Epic Anime Pilots is kind of another way to phrase this topic for this week. So we're going to be talking about first anime episodes that just blow your socks off and lock you in for the whole rest of the show. So that's going to be good. We're going to have some Anime Addicts Confessionals later. We're going to have some mailbags, and we're going to do a review of Vivy, Fluorite Eyes song. So that was one of Mitsuki's choices from a few months back. So without further ado, anything you guys want to say before we get started?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Nothing to say.
Maybe a quick explanation why we're in the same place.
That's what Hobby Addicts is for.
But if they don't listen to Hobby Addicts.
We're in the same place because I drove here.
Yeah.
So it's the easy way. You can tell the story if you want.
Oh, we went to an air show, but there wasn't a lot of show in the air.
A lot of air,
Unfortunately
but not
not.
much show. So,
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
you'll have to learn more on the Hobby Addicts, but that is why we are here today. It's because he went to an air show 20 minutes away from my house.
Preview
Pretty
for the
much.
Hobby Addicts coming up, so look out for that, guys.
Exactly.
All right, time for the big news of the week.
It's time for big news of the week.
Couple funny things. I was just talking to some friends that I had in town that that they've been to Japan a bunch of times, and I've been to Japan a bunch of times. And we were just talking about crazy things about Japan, and I was talking about how everything in the United States is just pretty much everything's overpriced now. Like everything, you get a Popeye's chicken, you spend $30. You get a Home Depot and buy a piece of plywood, it's like $190. You know, it's you buy an ice cream cone at Baskin Robbins, and it's like you have to give them like your left toe. It's like crazy. But in
I
Japan,
don't know about that, but
oh wow, I'll tell you what. Anyway, so
I can believe the lumber situation, but I can't believe you spent more than $100 at Popeyes.
No,
no, 30
100
bucks at
buying
Popeyes.
wood.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 130 at Popeyes. I'm like, what?
Going
Yeah,
hard in the paint.
Yeah, you go to Popeyes now. It's like, or really any fast food. It's like, oh, I'm gonna have the number 3 meal with like a Diet Coke, and it's like $9.50. It's like fucking ridiculous. But in Japan, the prices of things never go up. So as the old man that I am, I was lamenting while we were eating all you can eat sushi and spending like $165 on all you can eat sushi, which is also ridiculous. I was like, I just need to go to Japan, where like the prices of things are the same now as they were in 1985, because Japan has like the most stagnant, pitiful economy ever. You know, long story short, you know, there tends to be inflation when an economy is overheated, and I have like a graph up in our outline about like in the last 11 years, Japan's actually had negative inflation 6 times. So every other year, their prices actually drop, which is like really not good for their economy, but great for old men like me. Some company, the company that makes Gotti Gotti Kun. So there's an ice cream pop called Gotti Gotti Kun. It's got like this like monkey looking kid with a huge mouth like on the front, and he's eating this like blue Namune flavored like ice pop, and like the entire company that this is not a new story, by the way. This happened a couple years ago, but I'm just kind of just musing. A couple years ago, this company actually the entire company apologized because they raised the price of Gotti Gotti Kun by 9 cents. Because it's just like the prices of stuff in
Essentially
Japan.
1 cent per bar.
Yeah, exactly. So, oh my God, so catastrophic. But yeah, Gotti Gotti Kun is like this. They're like it's basically you're buying like frozen ice pounded into a specific shape that's just like flavored. So basically, they're just like freezing flavored water into a shape and making it into popsicles, and the box costs like 55 cents or something. But I just thought that was interesting, so I threw that out there as like both a commentary on Japan's economy and also just a commentary on, you know, the culturalism of Japan, and apologizing because a train leaves 5 seconds early, or you know freaking out because some product went up by like a nickel. So. But that's about all I had. There wasn't the only other thing I had in the news was actually Mason's big news. So, of course, we're gonna leave that for Mason. So, what do you got, Mason?
My pseudo big news is looking at this Gari Gari Kun's hairstyle. I want to know what's with the polka dots.
Yeah, that's
it's like
weird.
a JoJo character with like gray hair with the black polka dots on it. Like, does he have the same hairstyle on all the other flavors of Gari Gari Kun? I don't know. I want that hairstyle.
I'm not really sure, but I will throw up a picture of Gotti Gotti Kun on Twitch for people who don't know what I'm talking about, and because I don't know, the packaging is pretty fun, but you can definitely tell it's geared at kids. Although I'll tell you, like on a sweltering day in the summer in Japan, it's definitely a pretty nice treat. So that's about all I had though. So we can move on from that.
Gotcha. Yeah. My big news was a market analysis done by a research firm called Parrot Analytics found that the global anime consumption has nearly doubled since 2017. Which
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'd say it's both interesting but not all that surprising.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would have
pretty
guessed
believable.
a full double, but it's been on the up and up. I don't think anyone doubted that. I think a more interesting statistic, and this isn't for anime specific, but in terms of like streaming subscriptions, Hulu is said to be the most popular in terms of the amount of view time that it gets, followed by Netflix at like, I don't know, 3% less stream time relatively, then Disney Plus, then Crunchyroll and Funimation at like 10% of what Hulu is getting. So
like, that data can't be right. You're saying Hulu?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of odd.
Hulu has 10 times the market share of viewing time as Funimation?
Like, I mean, yeah, for every one person that is watching something on Funimation or Crunchyroll, Hulu, or just on Funimation, Hulu is getting 10 people. And that it's not on just anime content, but essentially it's saying that, hey, like anime is making up this percentage of the viewing sphere, and it's more than what it used to be. And I think this gives you a good relative compared to what quote unquote normies might be watching, and like what a huge streaming site has. But I'd say relatively, when you consider that Crunchy and Funimation are just exclusive anime, to be kind of biting at the heels and kind of surpassing Disney Plus is impressive.
So you're saying that so when you say that Crunchyroll and Funimation combined for 6.2%, that's of all viewing, not just anime viewing.
Correct. Okay. So Hulu across everything, their movies, shows, whatever, that's at 21%.
That makes more sense.
So yeah, exactly.
Wow,
so
Disney
it's not like
Plus
Hulu's
sucks.
getting 21% of the Crunchy thing. But Disney Plus is new. It has a very exclusive, like, small library, kind of similar to, I'd say, the anime model of Crunchy and Funny, whereas like Hulu and Netflix is a little more like scattered shot. They're getting just a lot more people, but their interests are varied.
Yeah, I'd say that the biggest draw for Disney Plus are the Marvel movies that they have.
And they had like The Mandalorian and
yeah, that too. But like
Hamilton.
but if in terms of like the biggest fan base that they can easily get, that would be the Marvel people. And honestly, I even thought about getting Disney Plus again for myself, just for the Marvel movies, because it's such a good library.
Would you about to say, Mitz?
I don't know. I just find the numbers just seem a little hard to believe still, because Disney Plus has 116 million users and Crunchyroll has 120 million users, which I find that number to be probably inaccurate also. But if that's true, that they both have the exact same number of viewers, more or less, I don't know. It just seems odd that that Disney Plus would only have 4.6% of viewers and Hulu has more than Netflix. Like I don't know. That just seems seems hard to believe.
Thing that I thought was surprising.
I mean, I'm not really sure how. I don't know how they're sort of categorizing, like breaking down these numbers, but if you had asked me, I would have guessed anything that Hulu had less viewers than Disney, for example. So that would have been my bet.
Interesting. And it's based on view time, so maybe Hulu just has a lot more like longer running series to keep people in their system. I don't know. All I know is anime. That's all I've got in my life. So we'll see. But this kind of like highlights the divide between, do you reach the masses of Netflix and Hulu and just try to inject anime into where people are, or do you focus at anime where anime fans are already at and try to pull people into Sony's new like umbrella? I think that's where we'll see the market kind of split in some sort of way. But who knows what will happen a couple years from now. I just thought it was interesting.
Well, I definitely think that if you're trying to grow the anime market, you're going to want to be putting anime in places where potential new market share can be gained, which is going to be the viewers that are predominantly watching on probably on Netflix and Hulu.
Taco Bell commercials.
Oh yeah, Fry Force, baby.
Fry Force is the future of anime.
Fry Force all the way.
It is.
Taco fries.
It's getting that audience that has been really ignored in the anime industry, and that would be the taco or the what's it called?
Nacho fries.
Taco fries. Nacho fries.
We need Popeye Power Hour. That's an anime I'll watch. Also, Chad is saying, if you show me a show that isn't anime, he won't understand. Very true. Very true. If it doesn't have subtitles, I can't compute it.
Audio in Japanese, English in the subtitles. If it's even the other way around.
Exactly. MasonBot shuts down. 404 anime not found.
It's definitely crazy. Like if this is true, just the fact that anime has 6% of the market share for viewing, just from Crunchyroll and Funimation, I find that crazy. And then when you add in the fact that Netflix and Hulu, it has anime on it as well. Especially Netflix has a lot of anime. Part of that 18% number that Netflix has is gonna go to anime. Like call it a percent or 2%. So. When you consider anime is like probably scraping out upwards of like 10% total of all viewing time, that's pretty impressive. I think that's actually shocking. If you want my opinion, to be perfectly honest. So it'll be really interesting to see how this trajectory continues to move in the next 2 or 3 years. I knew anime was getting popular, but that's And when like all these little kids
Well,
that are in, when all these kids that are in high school and stuff are able to get out and get their own subscriptions to things, it's just going to increase that number even more because they're going to have more control over their own viewing and screen time at home.
And I will say I did link the news article about this in our show notes. If you want to follow that, you can subscribe for that. I will say the article was a little bit sussy, as we could say, because this guy was like, "Oh, the global interest, the global demand for anime is like 5%, and right now, the percentage of shows that are anime on these streaming services are like 3%. So therefore, more people want anime than there is to exist. So that way, we should have more anime. We need like twice as much anime to fill up that gap."
God, we
And I
have
was
way
like,
too much anime
no,
already.
no, that's not how the numbers work, my friend. Like, we do not need more anime to fill that gap. Like,
Like,
that's the opposite
It's
problem.
not as if anime can have like a limited number of people watching.
Exactly. There were some claims that I think they went down in this that were stated that I don't agree with, but I think just having these numbers is good to know. So that's all I had.
I definitely noticed that HBO Max was not on that statistic list that you listed, probably because the HBO Max app sucks horrendously. it's like they HBO Max. Oh, they could have had 5 to 10% of the market share on viewing hours, but nobody could actually get the app to load anything, so they were disqualified. That's pretty funny. Not that HBO Max really has any anime on it anyway, as far as I know. So except for Ghibli, which is which is good,
that.
which is good, but that's small.
Yeah.
All right, good article. I saw that one too. I thought that was really interesting. So we'll have to see. I'd like to see these numbers broken down like by like global region because I'm kind of curious how that number shakes out just for the United States. But
I think this might have been just U.S. Yeah, this was just U.S.
I'm really
I don't know if I said that.
I would actually be stunned. It does say U.S., so that's my bad. But I would be stunned if like Japan's anime viewing doubled because it's already so saturated. It's really easy to double a number when the number's next to nothing. So not to throw a sad pony on the pile. All right. So should we move on to our main topic?
Yeah, let's go to Happy Ponies.
I like Happy Ponies. So Taru Vegeta, as he does, is a big contributor of the podcast and has been listening for I don't even know how many years, 10 years maybe. And they submitted a topic request. What pilot episodes basically captured you and made you wonder, quote, where have you been all my life? So we're going to be talking about some of the anime out there that have the best pilots, the ones that just grab you instantly and just pull you in. I don't know if this is going to play out as like a recommendation list, so to speak, for anime, but these are the shows that they don't waste any time like giving you the hook, so to speak, when you're watching it. So sometimes I'm watching an anime and I'm like, I know this is supposed to be good, but like when is the thing that gets everybody interested in it going to happen? Well, these anime are all cutting right to the chase. They don't fuck around, and they will get you immediately engaged. And I saw that we all wrote down 5 of these. Mine are all pretty obvious for me personally. But
yeah, I would hazard a guess that all of these shows that we are going to talk about are shows we've mentioned before. Because if the pilot blew us away, it was probably good enough for it to end up being one of our favorites to remember it. So you might have probably heard a couple of these, but maybe this is just another push to actually at least give all these first episodes a watch for once.
Yeah. And also, I feel like mine are definitely very basic. So I'm sorry if mine aren't very interesting. But yeah, are we going by like one by one?
I think so.
I'll just get started because I'm on top here. So I actually had company visiting all weekend, which is why I was really like slow to respond to communications all weekend. So I do apologize, guys. But I showed them Dr. Stone. They're big Shonen fans, and they were like, they're always asking for anime recommendations, and I usually recommend the big things, the Attack on Titans, the Demon Slayers, the what have yous, and they were like asking for recommendations at breakfast the other day, and I said, you know what's a shonen show that's just not like a lot of other shonen anime where it's like usually it's just people fighting and powering up, like that's what probably 9 out of 10 of all shonen shows are just like fighting anime where everybody gets gradually stronger. Well, Dr. Stone is really not like that, and I was telling them, I'm like, Dr. Stone's more like this anime that's like about science. Like if you ever wanted to know how a light bulb was made and like how they would make a light bulb in the Stone Age, like that is Dr. Stone in a nutshell. So I was like, I know how I can guarantee that you'll actually give this show a shot. So I sat them down last night, and before we watched the Trust and Betrayal live-action Rurouni Kenshin movie, we watched the first 2 episodes of Dr. Stone. And the first episode of Dr. Stone is really good. I mean, it cuts to the chase like immediately. You know, it gives you a little bit of like the character personalities. You know, there's the the boy that wants to confess to the really cute girl in school, and then there's like Senku, the nerdy science kid. And right off the bat, like the comet goes across the earth, everybody's frozen in stone, and it's just like they just jump right in right away. Like you're already intrigued. Like science, like the world has jumped forward 3,700 years, and it's like holy shit, like everything's gone. And so then boom, I break out of my stone shell that I'm in, and it's back to like rebuilding society. And they basically go from like everybody's frozen in stone to trying to unravel the mystery of like how to release people from these like stone prisons, so to speak, all in one episode. And it's just like really, it just moves really quickly, and just delivers something that I don't think there are. I don't know if there are any other anime that are like Dr. Stone, where it's like all about like just like science. You know, like science is not really all that emphasized in anime, or really just in like TV in general. And because you wouldn't
I
think.
feel like on some adjacent sense, like the science of Food Wars could kind of be considered similar in the way that they like construct their dishes.
Sure.
But as
That
far
is
as
until they get the culinary chainsaw.
until they get later on in the series, and yes, it's not like pure science in the same way that Dr. Stone
It's
is.
culinary science.
It's the closest thing I could.
They got gastronomy in there.
Food
but
is
also
food is science.
One person does say in the Twitch chat that if Senku said the word science less, that'd be perfect. So there is one flaw, and that is he just says the word science way too much.
Science is cool.
And also 10 billion%. Like,
Yeah.
Senku, you should know as a smart boy that 10 billion% is not real.
Hakuman percent,
Yeah,
whatever it is.
I'm
so
Hyaku Oku percent that
Hakoku, that's what it is.
that Dr. Stone has food in it. Like they actually go through that too. Like they make ramen, they make soda, they do all that shit. So Dr. Stone is just really cool, and the first episode doesn't fuck around at all. It just moves really quick and is super engaging from the start, and everybody last night agreed. So that would be my first one on the list, as I have a love obsession with Dr. Stone because I think it's fucking fun as fuck. So that's my first pick here.
Nice. Well, my first pick, actually, so as Mitch said, we each picked 5. I originally had more on my list, but I deleted them. And Anarchy Hamster in the chat mentioned one of the ones I had up there for a moment, which was Samurai Champloo, which was a super solid opening between introducing the main 3 and getting their personalities and watching Mugen just go beast mode and Fu like flip the coin on her head. It was so good. Anyway, my first actual one is a show I've talked about before. It's called The Eccentric Family.
Mm-hmm.
And this one I recall vividly as the first 2 minutes of the show hooked me. Within 2 minutes, I was completely sold. And it doesn't do anything special, but it is just a narration of the main character kind of outlining the world of Tanuki and how they're kind of tricksters, the Tengu that kind of patrol, and some of the other evil, devious beings at play, and kind of the relationship between the 3 around Kyoto. And this was written by the same person who did the Tatami Galaxy, which I'm a massive fan of. So, like, starting off a follow-up series that was, like, in the same tone with this great visual design, I was just floored immediately. So, I honestly don't even know if the whole pilot episode was that great, but I remember the first couple minutes were so, like, up my alley that I was like, yes, I'm completely in. So, The Eccentric Family is my first submission.
Okay. So my first one is Sangatsu no Lion for obvious reasons. It is my favorite show. But one of the great things about the first episode is that it really does not need to take its time in order to find its groove. It knows what it's going for, and it just hits it at the very start. That solemn and kind of depressing tones, and like the art style, the music, it really like just instantaneously it got it. And then it instantaneously got it to the point where we meet the sisters that that Ray has become friends with. And he enters their house, and instantly you're just filmed with like such warm colors and feelings, and you're like, okay, so we have just come home from the rain, and we are about to have a nice warm dinner under the kotatsu with our chosen family with their cats, and yeah, it's that balance they just got automatically. And then you also have such really funny moments too in that first episode. Like I was telling Mason earlier that my favorite moment in that episode is just Hinata getting ready for school the next morning because she is a wackadoo and she is late already. But she really wants seconds of her breakfast, so she's gonna go get seconds. And then Ray's like, no, don't go to school. And then for whatever reason, she hands him like a sausage, and he's like, here, take the sausage. I'm like, okay. And then there's this whole thing about who's gonna lock up the house and where the keys are gonna go and all that. Yeah, it's just chaos then. And then it gets so calm too. So it's a big conglomeration of many different things in the first episode that are all very well represented throughout the rest of the next 2 seasons. So, and that is why when I first watched the first episode of this show, I realized, okay, this is going to be my show.
Yeah, it hits emotions in episode 1 that it takes other shows a whole season to develop.
Yeah.
And it ends with a hook because he comes home and he's looking in his mailbox for something and he can't find it. And all of a sudden, his
Rivalry.
his corner holding the paper, and he's like looking for this, bum bum bum,
Yeah.
Kiri, and then like it's like to be continued, and you're like, I don't even know
Who is he?
what's going on. But episode 2, so I was skeptical when you put this on the list. I'm like, Sangatsu is great, but was episode 1 really that good? And then I rewatched it. I'm like, yeah, it's good.
Well,
The end.
in that case, just for you, Caroline.
Sausages.
There you go. She's gonna run out of the house with a sausage in her mouth, just like Sailor Moon. Because I mean, when you're late for school, you gotta multitask. All right. Well, let's see here. So, obvious choice. GTO has a great first episode. There's a 1-hour opening, like sort of introductory episode that is I don't know. It feels a little disjointed from the rest of the series, but because Onizuka starts off at like this like middle school, or he starts off at like this high school, and because his aim is to like teach high school girls because he's a pervert, and ultimately he ends up like teaching middle school kids. But that whole first 2-episode introduction, which really plays more like a short movie, is just like a fantastic episode. It has so many iconic moments in GTO. It has the moment of where he knocks down the wall in the girl's house with the sledgehammer, and he's like there's that iconic shot of Onizuka with when he's like in his parachute pants, shirtless with the sledgehammer, and that's been cosplayed a ton of times. There's the scene when he's dunking the kids in the water in the park, and all of the biker gang members like bow down to Onizuka because he's basically like a biker gang god, so to speak, from his past. And that first episode just has like pretty much everything in it. I mean, it isn't really all that perverted of an anime the way that it would lead you to believe that it is, because it really honestly isn't. But and even in that first episode, there's not a whole lot of like perverted stuff. But that first episode it really solidifies Onizuka as like an S-class anime character, and the anime itself is just, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever met a person that was like, I don't like GTO. I'm like, it just doesn't come out of people's mouths. People don't say those words. And Great Teacher Onizuka is just great. It follows up that first 40 minutes with like just 2 or 3 more consecutive just like banger episodes. The suplexing the vice principal, smashing his car, the just over and over again. It's just great stuff from GTO. So people that haven't watched GTO, like, you absolutely should. It's on Retro Crush. You can go watch it for free on Retro Crush. So even though I don't really view it as a retro anime because it's from like 2001 or whatever, but yeah, GTO is really
20
good
years
shit.
old.
I know, but it's like to me, retro's like 93. Like really actually old. Yeah. So
if you hit GTO on your Mitsugi bingo card, you can cross that one off.
cross
on
that
this
one off.
episode.
That was pretty low hanging fruit, to be honest. Yeah. So
It was. That's like the free space of the Mitsugi
Yeah.
bingo card.
yeah, and Kiryu Christian says the GTO live action is great too, especially the TV series is great. The movie is like okay, but the TV series is pretty true to the anime, like not exactly, but it's pretty great stuff. And the guy who plays who plays Onizuka is casted pretty well. So, all right, Mason.
Yeah, Mitz, you didn't bring the perversion out on that one, so I have to bring it out on my next one.
Do it.
And this is a show that the pilot was phenomenal. And while I think the show kind of lost it along the way for me, I still remember fondly episode 1 being super hyped, which is Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season.
Oh yeah.
The one from just a couple seasons ago with the 5 like literary club, like book club members who kind of are going out into the world of relationships and romance and all sorts of physical affection and kind of learning their way around maidenhood and stuff. And episode 1 primarily focused on our bold cut looking main character, and it just had so many great lines, so many great moments. The ending shot of her running through the streets as she's like bombarded with like imagery of the sexual kind, and as she like misrepresents it, of like the train going through the tunnel as she like freaks out. It was just like so splendid and goofy and funny, and it just had such an energy to it that I was like, oh my goodness, I think I instantly passed the show based on that first episode alone. And like I said, did it go where I wanted it to? Maybe not. Did it have some problematic characters? Absolutely. But overall, I still enjoyed the show, and I think a lot of that was due to the momentum that the pilot gave it. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Oh Maidens was a
another
solid
strong one. Yeah.
All right. So next on my list, actually, I think I'm going to talk about Attack on Titan. Okay.
Hey,
so here's
it's
the
fair
thing.
game.
Yeah, honestly, it is a good first episode. That's like the hook that brought people into Attack on Titan in the first place, is the brutality of the first episode that I don't think a lot of people were expecting. But the thing is that for me personally, it was my first anime.
Oh no.
It was
Ever?
the anime that I went into watching knowing that it was anime.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So let's go back to freshman year of college for me. Yes way. So
It got the hooks in you.
So, I mean, I think I've talked about this before, but I just saw the Attack on Titan theme song on Facebook, and I'm just like, well, this looks cool. Let's watch it. And, it was college, so I was into trying new things. So I'm like, okay, let's try my first anime. And then I
Crystal meth.
was starting to watching it dub. We didn't get too far with that. But I did start off with the dub, and I watched the entirety of it dubbed, because as a wee weeblet, that's all I could do. And yeah, it was different. I've never really watched a show like this before, anime or otherwise. So therefore, it's one of the best first episodes from my point of view.
Yeah, and Aaron's mom gets eaten in the first episode, and let's face it, she had it coming. She really didn't. She did.
She was looking like a snack. Can we agree, my
She
fellas?
had that hairstyle. The hairstyle just
Screams.
it attracted trouble.
She got eaten like a popcorn shrimp, to be honest. She just tossed her up and just slurped it down. Oh,
Wait,
my
did she
goodness.
have the mom cut with like the one braid coming
no, it
to the
wasn't a
side?
braid, but low side ponytail.
Okay, yeah, that's
it.
That'll get you every time.
Yeah, speaking of dubs, I should have mentioned this, but like GTO, like Steve Bloom plays like 9 characters in that dub. Steve Bloom of like Spike Spiegel fame. He's Onizuka. I mean, he there's like 7 or 8 scenes where he's literally talking to himself. It's like fucking hilarious. Right off the bat, like Onizuka gets pulled over on his motorcycle by a cop, and the cop is Steve Bloom and Onizuka's Steve Bloom, and they're literally having a conversation with himself. It's just it's just the most ridiculous shit. Let's see here. For me, not to pick the most obvious one here, I'm gonna go with I think Space Brothers has a fantastic first episode. I mean, it really does bring like having watched all of Space Brothers and just loving the characters. I showed Pancake like the first episode of Space Brothers back when COVID first started, and it's like a tear-jerking episode for me. I mean, it's the kids growing up and watching how their like dreams unfold of going to space, and it's not like this action-packed episode or something like that, but it just absolutely is like this dense, meaty episode where the kids are like out just being kids and just discovering like the wonders of like outer space and having their dreams of going to the moon blossom, and then like transitioning right into like Muta as an adult. It's just fucking phenomenal. I mean, Space Brothers is not every section of that anime is like incredible, but especially the first, like I'd say 30 or 40 episodes are just absolutely unbelievable. Space Brothers is so freaking good. Like it's hard for me to imagine anybody like picking up Space Brothers and being like, this is terrible. I mean, right from like the ridiculous like Katamari Damacy-esque opening theme, where he's got like rainbows shooting out of his nose and shit. Space Brothers is fucking great. I mean, if you have any love of drama, or like just space or NASA, any of that stuff, like Space Brothers is just like an epic anime, and I don't know that anybody would really argue that at this point. It does need to be finished, though. I would say it's kind of a crime.
You could probably like approach me on the street and play the piano motif from Space Brothers, and I'd probably start crying. It's not even like it's not even like a sad like emotion. It's just like I just get so emotional like thinking about like the journey of Muta and Hibito and Appo and the whole clan.
Oh.
I've yet to watch it. So the whole comment about rainbows coming out of your nose is very confusing.
The openings of that show are very excessive. Yeah. they're very much, but they're fine.
Yeah, like the fourth one's got Oppo, like a bunch of Oppos on the moon, like running with like afro wigs on. It's super just goofy because like Muja has like an afro. Yeah, it's yes. I mean, I would recommend Space Brothers to almost every living human being. It's just that good. So, but not to soak up all the time.
Yeah, Mason? No, it's good. It's worth it. I'll skip one on the list just because I want to make sure we get to all the ones that aren't like, oh, Mason talks about this show all the time. Next one is a show called Windy Tales. This was a show recommended to me, I think, by General Mills in the Discord. And I just had no expectations, no idea going into it. And just immediately the art style, it's not like ping pong-esque, but it is very, not on model from shot to shot. It is very warbly. Just the calming, relaxing story of these girls in photography club with a lot of quotes around photography club because they kind of just go around and capture the world around them and this kind of strange ways that they see it was kind of similar to another show I'll talk about on this list where it just hit a mood. It wasn't like oh, I'm hooked, what'll happen next, or this big mystery, or, wow, it's so violent or anything. It didn't really have any plot points. It just had a sense of style and atmosphere to it that I just, you guys all know me. I like shows that feel different. And this show absolutely took that and ran with it and went on to tell a very fascinating little story. So Windy Tales was definitely a surprise sleeper hit that I wouldn't recommend to most people. And I would say give episode 1 a shot. And I don't remember it being particularly stronger or weaker than the other episodes, but it definitely clicked with me right away. So give it a shot. If you don't like it, just drop it. Don't worry. But if you do, hopefully you enjoy it.
Well, yeah, Mamoru Oshii, yeah. Good stuff.
Back when he was just making bangers, as Mitt said earlier. Bangers.
All right. Caroline, what do you got for us?
Next, I am going to talk about Dororo because it is a show of highs and lows. That's for sure. That janky animation episode that's supposed to be stylistic but just looks janky. Yeah. But the first episode was pretty great. So, of course, we got the very cool OP that won our, I believe it was our anime Oscars for best OP of that year. So
that was one of the two like fire OPs. That was the Promised Neverland, and I always have to think which one went with which show because they both had to do with fire.
Yeah, this one was like "Give me fire."
Yeah, that one.
Okay, so that one. So automatically, that's kind of eye-catching. Like the song itself is pretty interesting because it's very, like modern.
Yeah, it
but
doesn't feel
has
like an older show.
But it does, it doesn't. It somehow fits with this kind of older kind of story, I guess, of a manga that's from like the '60s or something, right? It's an older manga.
Yeah, it's definitely an ancient one.
So, and then we get to, the actual story, which is strange but also brutal because you see this skeleton of a baby and they get up and close and personal with that. Um and then
Skeleton of
you
a
get the
baby.
badass fight scenes. Yeah, you remember, right?
I'm not
So
really sure.
he didn't have. Well, just look
He
up.
kind of came out looking.
Yeah, not too
Oh,
hot.
having a
he's
rough
all like,
day.
isn't he like deformed? Like yeah. Oh yeah.
He's not really deformed. He just doesn't have any skin or
well,
eyes
I picture it
or
like that.
muscles.
Or muscles, or bones, or
No, he's made of. He has bones. I'm not sure how he's like breathing.
if you have no skin and no muscles, all you are bones, really, and organs.
Okay, so
Right.
we're not going to talk about the
To the baby.
logistics of this show.
All I'm
It's
picturing
bizarre.
for some reason. Have you ever watched the movie Kung Pao? Like the really
No.
bad like pseudo comedy. Yeah, the opening scene is like this baby gets like rolled down a hill and is just rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and just like bouncing off stuff and lands at like a clearing. And this old lady like is like, oh, there, and like scoops it up and she's like, oh, so cute, and then throws it down the other side of the hill and it just keeps on rolling. That's what I pictured the opening of Dororo, with this baby just getting put through the ringer.
Yeeted.
Yeah, right off the bat.
Jeez Louise.
But yeah, then the story moves on and it's just so cool. Like automatically you have a guy who has no arms but swords for arms, and like how is that not cool? Eduardo Sword Hands.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it's a great first episode. That really got me hooked for the rest of the series, even though it kind of fell downhill, like that poor baby.
We need a Johnny Depp anime. That's for sure.
Oh my god, can you imagine?
That's a
God, I feel like half of Johnny Depp's movies are animes already. They're so
I know.
bizarre.
It's the perfect crossover.
He's
I
got to
guess I
stop
could just
drinking
watch like
wine
the
first.
Japanese dub track for like the Kingdom Hearts Pirates level. That's close enough.
Jesus. Johnny Depp.
And
Oh,
anything else
crazy
on Dororo?
I don't know. It's like I feel like I didn't explain that very well, but I don't know how else to explain why I like that first episode so much. Just watch it and you'll see what I mean.
Johnny Depp. He hasn't done anything in a while. I think he's
He's been dealing with his divorce.
kind of. I mean, isn't he the guy that was spending like 20 grand a month on wine? It's like, bro, you're supposed to be drinking rum, okay? You can get your liquors mixed up. All right. I'm gonna save the most obvious one here for last. Cross Game is my next one on this list. Not big. Cross Game is an extremely good anime, but the first episode really is. It's very impactful. I mean, it's extremely depressing. But Cross Game is a baseball anime that starts off with this kid, and he grows up in this like neighborhood next to this family that has 3 daughters, I think it is, or 4 daughters, and let's just say that it's a very likable and engrossing sort of slice of life feel, the way that the family dynamics are laid out, and the town is really sort of peaceful and relatable with the batting cages and everything, and like just tragedy strikes in that first episode, and it gives you a little bit of everything. There's baseball, so those of you that like sports, it's there for you. It has the slice of life, it has the drama, it has unbelievable music, and character designs are just gorgeous, but it does have some pretty savage tragedy going on in that first episode that you don't really see coming. At least I didn't. I'm not really good at like anticipating things. And I remember we watched this on the Discord like 3 or 4 years ago, and there was a pretty solid group of people, and everybody was pretty stunned by that first episode. And then we went on and watched quite a bit more of it. But Cross Game, it's definitely a solid show. If you like sports, if you like drama, if you like slice of life, it has a little bit of romance in it. it's a top tier sports show for sure, and is not always as depressing as that first episode would lead you to believe, but it does kind of pave the groundwork for the dynamic of the families going forward. So it's a very important event that happens in that show. So I definitely recommend Cross Game extremely highly. I don't think you'll be disappointed by it at all. It's not like a super heavy shonen baseball show. Baseball is important to the show. It's in there a lot, but it has so much more to offer beyond that. So I don't know if you guys have seen Cross Game, but it is good shit for sure.
Course, my dude. Course.
Of course not, my dude.
Oh, come now.
Sorry.
That's okay. I forgive you. I'll work on forgiving you.
Yeah, I've seen Cross Game, but I haven't watched any of their other inspired works because all the characters, let's be honest, look exactly the same because that's how they draw their characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I just yeah, I should probably give Touch a shot one day.
I just
haven't.
I didn't find that. What was that new show called that they had? I didn't find it to be as good.
I do not know.
It's the same author. I'll look it up. It's the same author, but it's a different show. I'll look it up. But not to waste any time, Mason, I know you have more great picks here.
Yeah, well, I'll just do one more just for the sake of time and let you guys each get your two in. I gotta go with Mushishi. It's a show that is kind of like my entry point to the Iyashikei, the soothing, calm genre of anime. And it was definitely a genre I did not know that I needed or wanted. I just was like, oh, Mushishi, this is getting lots of high scores. I should watch it. And similar to Windy Tales, it's not a crazy plot. It's not something that it will hook you from, this intense thing going on. And just, it hits a tone. It hits a note that no other show does. And it executes it every single episode with kind of the same format of wandering traveler encounters a mysterious, mystical anomaly and solves it with very soothing and sometimes brash and abrasive methods. And it just, every episode ends and you find yourself almost breathless from the calm, storm-like intensity of what's going on. The openings, which are in English and very interesting in that regard, always put you in a place of mind this is a great, I'm about to go to bed show. Let me just melt away. And
also become a little depressed.
Yeah, there's definitely a somber tone and a hopeful tone at the same time. It somehow balances it so well. Sure, some episodes tilt more on one than another, but I don't think I've ever been disappointed by a Mushishi episode, least of all the pilot, and it just is emblematic of everything the series will go on to deliver. So I absolutely recommend it. Once again, watch one episode. If you're boring, fine, my dude, skip it. You have bad taste, but that's okay. But Mushishi is one of my favorites, so gotta give it the love.
That
All right, so
that anime I couldn't think of the name is Mix. It's called Mix. Came out.
There's Mix, Touch, and Cross Game.
Yeah, and they all have identical looking characters. It's true. All right.
So next, well, my last one, I don't think really. I enjoyed the show that was kind of last on this list, but the first episode in particular is really nothing much to talk about. So I'll just talk about this as my last one. Erase is one of my favorite shows. Unfortunately, the manga far outshines the anime by the end of it, but at least with the first episode, it is quite good because the cliffhanger leaves you on. I feel like at that moment you are ready to watch this show. I mean, you are introduced to one of the best characters, and that's Satoru's mom, and then she dies. Sorry, spoiler alert, but she dies. So you're already no, the best character is gone. And then you find out, wait a minute, the cliffhanger changes everything. So yeah, I feel like Erase is just such a good show.
I found that when making this list, it was becoming a trend that a lot of these shows on my list all had fantastic openings. A solid opening really helps sell the pilot. And Erased opening is absolutely one of my favorites. Like,
Great song.
the slight edits they made as the show went on, but also just like the catchiness,
symbolism,
the production of it, it nailed it. And that even when the show did what it did at the end, the opening never failed to, like, you couldn't skip it. It was so good. And I think that was part of its charm. So
I can't even
episode 1
recall
was
it.
fire. It was good.
Karaoke
we
hour.
can like perform the whole song. Yeah. Why don't we do that?
AKFG. No, because you don't want me to sing. I can do the the rhythms.
Okay.
That's it.
But I did recommend this show to a friend not too long ago, and so he started it, and he was telling me how he was liking it, and at the very end I was like, okay, and I mentioned something about the opening, and like, oh, did you like? I really like the opening. How about you? And he's like, well, I skipped all the openings because I watched it on Netflix, and I'm like, what?
They make it so easy.
Watched it? I know.
It's
and
so
I'm like,
easy just to
for
click that
shame.
button.
So I sent him a side-by-side of the first opening and then like some of the edits that they do in the middle. So I'm like, you have to watch this now and appreciate it.
It's not even skipping the button to skip on Netflix. Netflix auto skips.
Yeah, I mean, but I think at the beginning before when you start a show, they'll ask you skip intro, and if you click that, then I think that would be the automatic thing.
Now, is that for just that one episode or for all?
He did never watch the openings.
My dude.
I know.
If there's
Caroline's very disappointed.
I'd rather watch the opening 12 times than watch the show.
Oh my god. Savage.
I did not like the show.
I mean, it started off very strong. There's no doubt about it.
Did you like watch the live action on Netflix?
No.
Because that one's actually really good.
Yeah,
and it
but
does
that's
get
not
into
the
detail.
Anime. I don't watch anything that's not anime.
Okay.
I watch it, but I don't know what it is. It just comes into my face, and I'm like, what is this? This is not cartoons, and I bat it away.
Read them.
Manga's like anime because I flip through the quick. It turns into a flip book, and that's how I read so quick.
It's like, leave me alone. I'm watching boobs bounce on anime. Come on. What, your anime doesn't have a boob bounce counter in it? I don't want to watch that.
Bless Skynax.
Anyway, my last one here is 12 Kingdoms. It's super low-hanging fruit for me. It's like, oh my god. I try not to talk about certain shows because I guess back in the day I used to talk about them a lot. But 12 Kingdoms does have a great first episode. You know, it's very mysterious. Like, it lays a lot of question marks on you right off the bat. It's got some just crazy fantasy shit going on, like with all the different sort of mythological beasts that appear to sort of assist Yoko in that first episode. And yes, it is an isekai, but man, it's not like most. It's not like most. I feel like isekais nowadays are just all like power fantasies for the most part. And back in the day, maybe those still were around, but at least the isekais that we're watching were not mostly power fantasies, and certainly 12 Kingdoms is not one of those. But 12 Kingdoms is one of the finest like fantasy world building shows I've ever seen. And the first episode just begins with that right from the get-go. You can kind of just feel the fantasy elements. There's so much mystery. And honestly, I feel like the question marks that you'll have about like what the hell is going on, I must know more, is enough to get you sort of drawn into the story just immediately. And if you like the anime, there's like
not your nephew's isekai.
Yeah, exactly. There's a whole bunch of live action novels too, so if you love the anime and you just got to have more, or you want to consume the same stuff in a different format, the novels are also extremely well written. So
Did you call them live action novels?
Did I? Maybe
Yes.
I mixed light novel and novel together. Yeah, they're not light novels. They're just, or maybe they are light novels. I don't fucking know.
I thought they were light novels.
I don't know. One of them's like 400.
Yeah.
One of them's like 500 pages long, so I don't really know that that's light novel sort of territory.
Maybe not.
But yeah, the fourth one's like 500 and something pages. So. And they get longer and longer as they go. They're up to like at least 9 or 10 of them. The woman who writes it. So, 12 Kingdoms is great. I got lots of other shows to recommend, but we can't get to everything. So, anybody else have anything else?
Kingdoms is... well, we did watch 12 Kingdoms for our anime club, which we were hoping that you would be there for, Mitsuki.
Well, I'm so sorry. What was the general consensus?
general consensus was they enjoyed it, but a lot of people did say they could have done with a bit of a faster pace.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It was overall positive.
Yeah.
You didn't lead the people astray, Mitz. You did them good.
Yeah, that anime, by the way, is a lot of suffering. There's so much misery in that anime. Everybody's
So much suffering.
Everybody's so fucking miserable, and in the books, it's even worse. Like, I feel like in the
Really?
books, oh, it's much worse. Like in the books, there's scenes where like Yoko's like starving to death, but she can't die because for reasons I can't spoil. But and she's like laying down, face down in the mud, and there's like animals chewing on her and stuff. Like it gets like the worst. It's so bad in the fucking books. Man, I don't think anybody has it that bad. But all right, have we reached the end?
I think we have. I think
Yeah.
we gave people a good list of shows to give a shot if they haven't already.
Yeah, it was a good list, and thanks to Yotari Vegeta for recommending that and letting us just blather on and on about anime that we love that we've already discussed like a bunch of times.
We used up all his mailbags, and we're like, oh,
How did we do
Yotaro
that?
Vegeta, you're lacking content. He's like, fine, here you go. How about a main topic? And we're like, dang it, he's got us again. So thank you, my dude. We will go into our news break, but here is a trivia question to keep you going in the meantime. What kind of AI is Vivy in the anime Vivy Fluorite Eyes song? Didn't throw apostrophe in there. That was messing me up. Anyway, figure it out, and we'll tell you the answer in just a bit. See you then.
Hey, Anime Addicts, Mitsugi is here, bringing you your anime news break. Getting started off with a Western live-action series adaptation announcement. The manga Drops of God is going to be getting a multinational and multilingual project that's going to be a co-production between the United States, France, and Japanese companies. So if you're a fan of Drops of God, this is coming out. Legendary Television, Dynamic Television, France Televisions, and Hulu Japan are all partnered up to make this live-action series happen. Oded Ruskin of No Man's Land is going to be directing the series. Filming has apparently begun in the multiple different countries in which it needs to take place, and actors and actresses are all geared up to get working on it. Flor Gafir is Ellie, and their Japanese actor Tomohisa Yamashita of The Head are both starring as Camille and Issei. Of course, a synopsis: Shizuku Kanzaki is the only son of world-renowned wine critic Yutaka Kanzaki. From a young age, Shizuku has been subjected to strange education from his father, for all for the sake of wine, from learning to gracefully decant a drink to intently remembering the smell of leather belts and pencils. The training causes him to grow resentful of everything related to wine and the discontent with his father. He leaves home to become an average sales representative for a beer company, refusing to ever touch wine again. Kind of an interesting, different plot line for an anime show, so if you're a fan of Drops of God, look out for that. Next up, we have some free on horse racing. Aniplex announced an original television anime titled Gunjo no Fanfare, or Fanfare of Adolescence, that's going to be coming out in the spring of 2022. The story follows three 15-year-old boys who go to a prestigious horse racing academy. Yes, that's what I said, horse racing academy, to become jockeys. The 3-year academy is 10 to 20 times harder to enter than most schools, and whoever wishes to enter must pass an academic, physical, and fitness test. So this definitely looks like free, except horse racing. All the prettiest boys you've ever seen, and very brooding, and et cetera, et cetera. The director Makoto Kato of Yagate Kimi ni Naru is going to be directing the work, and it's going to be done at Studio Les Deuce. So if you want to lay a deuce, there you go. Next up, Honeyworks song Heroine Taru Mono is being adapted into a TV anime in the spring of 2022. Also, Vocaloid group Honeyworks announced that its song Heroine Taru Mono is going to be getting an anime titled, yes, Heroine Taru Mono. Yes, very, very creative, to become a real heroine. So this is probably the first time I've ever heard of a song getting an anime. Hiyori Suzumi, who left her hometown to continue pursuing her passion of track and field, enrolls in Tokyo's Sakura Gaoka High School in search of a part-time job. Hiyori ends up becoming an apprentice worker for her classmates Yujiro Someya and Aizo Shibasaki, who are members of the idol group Lip X Lip. So, interesting song becoming an anime property. Next up, and not really new anime related, the Demon Slayer writer who composed Gurenge, receives over 250 million yen in royalties. The composer of the Demon Slayer song appeared on Nihon TV's Downtown DX program, and according to an estimate revealed on the program, Kayoko Kusano has earned over $2 million from the song alone, royalties through multiple formats, including CD downloads and music streaming services, subscriptions, karaoke, appearances on radio, etc. Just more emphasis as to just how overwhelmingly popular Demon Slayer really is. This is Mitsuki, and this was your anime news break. And now, as always, time to get back to the podcast. All right, time for some YouTube. I wonder what kind of horrible commercials I get subjected to this time.
Pizza or salad?
Oh, it's this fucking guy with his abs.
What do you think I'm having for dinner tonight?
Who really gives a
Not
shit?
this. It's definitely not this rabbit food. Why?
Skip.
Because
At Tommy John, we
YouTube, why do you hate me?
Comfortable underwear. And
Stuff that underwear in your mouth so you stop talking. Before you check out every episode of this podcast, I bet you're really missing having to look at dudes' abs or see bulges in men's underwear simply because you're trying to check out some anime. But of course you don't, and we won't torture you with commercials like that. Instead, you can help this podcast remain ad-free by heading over to aaapodcast.com/join or Patreon/AAApodcast. You won't have to listen to any horrible commercials, and you'll be getting 8 exclusive extra podcast episodes a month, our hentai episodes, our hobby addicts, and our after party episodes, just for you. Again, if you want to help us remain ad-free, go to aaapodcast.com/join or Patreon.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is the voice of KG Tang, voice of Faust from Guilty Gear Strive, and Satoru Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. Welcome back, and happy listening to Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast.
Welcome back to the show. When we left you, we had a trivia question for you. Very timely for our anime review, which we'll be doing here in about 15 or so minutes. What kind of AI is Vivy in the anime Vivy, Fluorite Eyes song? I believe she is a diva type AI, android, cyborg, whatever the hell she is. So that is the answer we're going with. So, and we're gonna do a segment here that we haven't done in a while. I haven't been getting quite as many submissions for it as I was particularly hoping. It is our anime confessional segment, and we're just gonna jump right in, and then I'll explain more about that. So if you want to submit to our Anime Addicts Confessional, this is a segment where basically you're supposed to submit your most embarrassing anime sins. It could be anything. It could be ecchi or hentai related. It could be just, an embarrassing amount of money you spend on anime stuff. It could be all the horrible anime you subjected your mother to. If it's me, I could just tell you how I made her sit through Ninja Scroll and all kinds of other stuff, and she did it because she's a good sport. But we're looking for you to go to aaapodcast.com. You click the Mailbag button, and there is a section in there where you can submit your anime crimes to be judged by the Pope himself. Yes, just like Genie did. I watched and enjoyed all episodes of Naruto Shippuden, and Boruto in the span of 4 months. It was the pandemic, but it still feels like a sin. Well, Genie, I will say that you sound a lot like Pancake in that she has watched, I think, all of Naruto Shippuden and Naruto like 4 total times, which I think is ridiculous. I've often thought about having people come on here and challenge Pancake to a Naruto trivia battle, which might be fun. But I will say that I believe that there is still hope for your soul, especially since you have not committed any Moe-related crimes. And so, while you need to expand your anime horizons beyond Naruto, I believe that your soul still has hope in this world. So, And
May I
also,
add something?
yes, the congregation would like to commit comments to the church.
Jeannie, as somebody who has also watched all the episodes of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, I just can't wrap my head around how you were able to watch and enjoy every episode of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. Because as good as the canon story can get, the filler is what will bury your soul. So I just need to know, are you okay for enjoying the ninja ostrich arc and
Jesus.
several others?
Are they redeemed by watching it all in 4 months?
I feel for you. I can say yes, it was the pandemic. We were all very
I feel like at that point,
desperate.
it is a marathon on such a level where you are not like, you can't even tell one episode from the next. It is just one fever dream of ramen.
That does sound
It's-
like what that would be like.
It's like 8 episodes a day, so that's pretty intense.
You're waking and sleeping hours just date bio, and you don't know where you are in the world. You're just
Believe it!
You're in a fugue state of just, oh yeah, was this dub or sub? This changes everything. Actually,
Yeah.
it really doesn't change much. It's just I'm impressed. So good job, I think. Question mark.
I'm not entirely sure what to think about the fact that she watched all of Boruto as well, but
Love it.
we
Anyway.
love you. I hope you're okay.
Oh, another confession has come into the booth. Babuino31 writes, "Forgive me, Pope, for I have sinned. I was 16 and just getting into anime, and we had an unofficial anime club in high school in which we had an initiation ritual.
Oh dear.
Watch the infamous Boku no Pico. A friend came to my house.
Say that
That's
without laughing.
horrible.
Boku no Pico. A friend came to my house and we sat in my room to start it. This is more like a hazing, really. We were alone, and so we thought. Suddenly, a dreadful ice cream scene started. Is there an ice cream scene? I don't know. And as he laughed at my face, I heard steps coming. It was my mom. I paused the video in a fraction of a second. Some small talk started as I was frozen in my seat. Out of nowhere, my sister and my dad also came to my room and joined the conversation, all while we were still trying to hide the screen. They left after a while, and despite the risk, we still finished it. Love from Peru.
That was frightening.
You are a sick monkey. Very sick. It's more of a hazing than anything, and because I think the audience is gonna give thumbs down to this one, we will have to commit you to the anime pit of hell where you belong. Clearly.
No, but he's okay. He had
Silence!
to.
Congregation, there is no hope for one soul once they have watched Boku no Pico. There is no hope. And for committing others' souls as well to this damnation, you shall burn in hell!
We're sorry.
And that's the end of the segment. So thank you for your submissions. Again, if you want to submit something to the confessional, go to the mailbag section on aaapodcast.com and make them good. Okay, I appreciate a Naruto confession here and there, but we're looking for like outlandish shit. So don't be shy. You can use a fake name, and yeah, we appreciate that very much. And wow, Boku no Pico, that's some sick fucking shit. So and to make other
I can't
people
believe
watch.
they hazed.
It's
in
borderline
the
illegal.
Unofficial, by the way. The unofficial anime club.
Yeah,
the
it's like-
official anime club does not do that kind of business.
It's like you want to join the anime club, not even the official anime club. We have to subject you to like borderline like illegal pedophilic content and haze you to death for like an hour while you watch this like just oh my god, Boku no Pico. It's like
Mitz, say
pretty
you want to
sick.
join the most exclusive unofficial anime club on the planet, and they say you have 2 ways to get in. Either watch all of Naruto or Boku no Pico. What do you watch?
I mean, I'm gonna watch Boku no Pico. It's like 20 minutes. Naruto's like
Goddamn right you will.
Naruto.
Wait, it's only 20 minutes long?
It's like
It's-
1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. Let me see here. Boku no Pico. It's
I thought they did like a whole season of that stuff.
no. Fuck no.
No.
Boku no Pico is 1 episode and it's 36 minutes long. God,
Yeah.
who is? God, like, what would someone like this guy, Katsuyoshi Yatabe, who is the director of Boku no Pico? What do they say at this guy's like funeral service? It's like, oh, he was a good man. He directed so many fine works, including Boku no Pico, where like underage boys like, you know, perform illicit sexual acts upon each other. I don't know. It's like this guy. You literally you're like, well, and the anime industry is very lucrative. I think I'm going to make like $3 an hour working on this property. Oh, and I'm going to condemn my soul to hell forever. It sounds like it's worth it. I'm going to make like at least $500 off this. So yeah, sure, why not?
Someone had to fall on that sword. They played all those games you see in the Japanese schools where they have to draw straws or do John Ken or do the ladder game, and he just lucked out, and he just did what he had to do to get through it, and God bless everyone's soul.
I hope it was worth it.
You know what's unbelievable
Anyway.
is that there's a prequel and a sequel to Boku no Pico. There's Pico X Coco X Chico, which looks.
See, I thought there were
which-
2.
I'm not gonna lie, looks even more horrific. I can't even tell you. Like the only way I can possibly explain to you how horrific this shit looks is that you have to go to my anime list and just type in Pico X Coco, and you will see something that is probably even more horrific than Pico Tochico or whatever the fuck this shit's called. God,
I think I'm gonna leave that wrapped.
Jesus.
Let's not forget though that 2 minutes ago, Mitz, you said, "Oh, I'd watch Boku no Pico." In this hypothetical question, if we just cut your audio in a certain section, so your case is as good as sealed.
Listen, the Pope is busy. I mean, I don't have time to watch a 940 episodes of fucking Naruto. Like, I mean, my soul is equally as screwed if I do that as if I watch like 30 minutes of Boku no Pico or whatever the hell. I mean, it's, jeez Louise. Yeah, no one has time for that
Show
crap.
the supercut. The supercut
Unbelievable.
admits.
I mean, that's
Boku no
you're
Pico.
literally
anyway.
you're like that. That's like asking me if I want to watch all of One Piece. I mean, it's about the same length. By the time I finish watching One Piece and get caught up, they've already released 35 more episodes of it. So it's like
I love all the
God.
memes of like One Piece, 1,000 episodes, and then behind them it's like Sesame Street, 4,000 episodes, like looming over it with like a massive Elmo. Love it.
yeah, but nobody wants to watch Sesame Street. All right. Anyway,
I'm glad we got that from, like, we got that consensus from Mitsuki. Nobody wants to watch Sesame Street. Ugh.
nobody wants to see Bert eat cookies in the damn bed. Bert, you're shouting again, Bert.
Oh my
All right, moving on. We have mailbags,
Making
guys.
references to a show that nobody should watch. Okay, mailbag.
Yes, moving on.
You could send your mailbag
Hey,
to...
whoa, whoa, whoa,
It's
whoa.
time for an
What?
almighty
Whoa, jumping
anime
the gun, girl.
mailbag.
Dance
Anime.
monkeys, dance for the Pope.
Anime.
Mailbag.
Mailbags. Okay, submit them at aaapodcast.com. Hit the mailbag button. Pretty self-explanatory. So, you could do just that, like Wanpom did. And he wrote, she wrote, they wrote, "Hi, anime addicts. During COVID-19, chess has become one of my biggest pandemic hobbies.
Good for you.
Naturally, I looked for a chess anime and found that there isn't an anime or manga. Upon pondering about what it would look like, I've come to realize that it would have to be either a very informative show or something where it supports the main plot or theme of the show, like Sangatsu no Lion. A battle shonen sports chess anime would have to be extremely over the top to appeal to the non-chess playing audience. Studios will also probably not put much money into the show about a topic that isn't as popular as some other choices. Combine that with the fact that there is no source material to go off of, and the formula just doesn't look promising. What are some anime you think would do better as a different type of show? Keep up the great work and stay addicted to anime."
Goddamn right. they don't play chess in Japan. It's a Western game. They've often said that Go, I think, or maybe it's shogi.
Yep. Go and shogi.
Yeah.
Both of those.
Those are like their equivalents of chess. They don't play chess. They don't know what it is, and they don't care. That's why you're never gonna find like a chess anime. I mean, I love chess. I grew up on chess. I think it's a fantastic board game. One of the best board games. Totally intellectual hobby, lifetime to master, full respect. But Japan doesn't care. That's why there's no anime. That's my comment.
Well, I think in terms of your question about what anime would do well if it under a different perspective is what I took it as. Recently, during this most recent anime season, we have Uromichi Onisan, which I thought would have been a very interesting show if it was presented as a short with like the perspective of an actual kids show. Like you're watching what looks like a kids show with all the dark comedy and without any context of what these characters' outside lives are about and who they are. So that kind of thing. I thought that would be an interesting concept because it would still be like a dark comedy, but also just a little bit of like creepiness to it too.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this mailbag was kind of like disconnected because the first half is all like, why isn't there chess? But I understand why there isn't chess. And it's like, yeah, as Mitch said, no one cares about chess in that world.
Yeah.
But I was saying, like, no one cared about, like, economics and Spice and Wolf, so just make your chess players all, like, cute fox girls, and then people will care.
It's very true.
So that's how you got to trick them.
It's very true.
As far as shows that are good but could be better if they were a different genre, Pokemon, I was saying that should be, like, no longer about the power of friendship and cute creatures, but that should be, like, a real serious, like, JoJo power shonen. Where like we get like deep in the weeds of like hardcore tactics and like that would be edgy. I could go for that. Wit Studio, since we're about to talk about it for Vivy, Rolling Girls had a ton of potential, but it kind of just didn't know what it wanted to be. I think if that was more focused and like just about traveling idols, that'd be good. And I think the Junji Ito collection, it was a comedy show. I think if it had tried to be a horror, I think it would have been what people wanted.
Did it actually have comedy?
No, but it was just laughably.
Oh.
So, yeah, I don't really have a great answer. But yeah, I'd be down to watch a chess show.
I would too. I watch the shit out of
watch
that.
them go. There's Hikaru no Go and a couple others that are worth a shot, so do that.
Yep. But
Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
regardless, thank you for the mailbag. It's we like getting them, and this is really pretty much a 50-50 listener contributed content driven show, so we do rely on it, and we love getting your submissions, so please keep them coming. All right, now
Go to the website, mailbags, confessions, like
Topics.
everything. So much. We want you guys
Oh my
to be
gosh,
heard.
Shark Tank.
Tanks. Oh my
I'm going to the
so
mailbag section of the website right now. So easy. AAA podcast, not hard to spell. Oh my god, right in the middle of the page on the top, mailbags and more. I'm going to click that button. Oh boy, you go down the page and it says, oh, you can select anime confessionals, Shark Tanks, hentai episode mailbags, hentai topic requests, live big in Japan, which are questions about Japanese life, mailbags, retro reviews, topic requests, all this stuff right at your fingertips. Don't let it go to waste. Use those little fingers. Okay, so we're going to review Vivy Fluorite Eyes song now. This is a spring 2021 show that I passed back on episode 575. Which is not all that long ago. It's on Funimation if you want to watch it. Is it dubbed? I guess it is, isn't it?
It is. It is dubbed. I believe all these songs are still in Japanese, but it is dubbed.
Yeah, I didn't personally like the dub very much, so I didn't watch much of it, but the synopsis: when a highly evolved AI set out to eradicate mankind, the carnage that ensues fills the air with the stench of blood and burning bodies. This is from my anime list. In a desperate bid to prevent the calamity from ever occurring, a scientist bets everything on a remnant from the past. Turning the clock back 100 years, AI are already an integral part of human society, programmed with specific missions meant to be carried out for their entire course of operation. Vivy, the first ever autonomous AI, is a songstress tasked with spreading happiness through her voice. And in a theme park where she hardly ever gets a proper audience, she strives to pour her heart into her performances, bound to repeat it day after day, until an advanced AI from the future appears before her and enlists her help in stopping a devastating war 100 years in the making. So this is a Wit Studio property. It's an original Wit Studio property directed by Shinpei Ezaki. So it's been a while since we passed this, but guys, what were your expectations going into it? I'll start with Mason.
Ooh, starting with me. Well, I realize we've been watching a ton of original shows from this season.
A lot of them.
This is like the third in a row that we're reviewing, and I think a lot that we passed were originals, which I'm a fan of because you don't know what you're going in, and they're not bounded in the same way that a lot of other stuff is. But I will say this was kind of created and conceived and written by Tape, who did ReZero. So I kind of knew what I was going in with his ambitious style. And of course, this is done by Wit Studio, who at their worst usually makes really good pieces of visual medium. So I was excited for the potential behind it, and I was interested to see what they were going to come up with.
In terms of my first impressions, what I was thinking about going into it, I didn't really know much about the show except for what you guys talked about during, what you talked about during your impression. And so I was thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be about an AI idol that is somehow going to be fighting stuff. Not sure how this is going to work. I heard a lot of people say that at the very least it looked good. But I didn't really know much other than that. But I did have that feeling in the back of my mind. Like, there are certain shows out there that a lot of people start to praise at the beginning, and I'm like thinking to myself, okay, this is going to crash and burn at some point.
Don't jump the gun and don't raise your expectations too high.
I
Then you
know.
go in and you're like, I mean, it was fine, but it wasn't that good.
Yeah, because there are shows where people will hype up at the very beginning, like this one, and like Darling in the Franxx. I remember people talking so much about that. I'm like thinking
my
to
God,
myself, I don't think this is going to end well. So yeah, that was basically what I was thinking about going into it.
For me, I obviously watched the first 3 episodes before I passed it, and the first 3 episodes play out very much like an action show. I mean, there's like pipe bombs going off in the park. You know, there's Vivy's like stopping terrorists. You know, and there's a lot of action in the first few episodes. We got like cyborgs fighting each other. I mean, you know, lots of gunfire, and so I mean, I tend to expect. I'm under the belief that anime tends to show its cards pretty early. Like you're pretty much gonna get what you see in the first few episodes, which is why I think that usually the first 3 episode rule works. So I think that going forward from that point, I expected an action show, so a sci-fi action show. So although I didn't really think that Vivy really fit the bill as much of an action character. She's not really. She just doesn't look like it, but anyway. But Mason, spoiler for recommendations. How'd you like Vivy? Would you recommend it to people? And if so, who would you recommend it for?
I would say I did not enjoy Vivy, but so here's the thing. So I would compare this to like a Violet Evergarden plus Planetary and Love Child. Or as another host from the Our Anime podcast put it when I was on, Hatsune Miku meets the Terminator, which I think is much more apt.
That's pretty good, yeah.
This show has heart. This show definitely has heart, and it has a lot of love that's put into it. But I don't know if it really connected with me. It was way too melodramatic, way too inconsistent, and full of just characters that had the foundation of Jello. They were constantly just like not living up to the expectations that I think the writing had for them. And it had plenty of moments that I enjoyed, plenty of like animation cuts and visual splendor where I was just like, yeah, wow. But like the cohesive overall story of Vivy was kind of disappointing to me. So I think there's a lot for people here to enjoy, and I didn't enjoy it all that much. I think there is a demographic that will like absolutely love Vivy, but personally I can't put my name behind it as something that is a must watch. So I'm gonna say no, not worth it.
How about you, Caroline? Did you enjoy it?
I actually did enjoy it. I understand a lot of the points that Mason has brought up, and I can definitely say yes, it is melodramatic. I can definitely say the whole, like you mentioned, the show definitely has heart in it, which is very true. But you know what doesn't have a heart? It's freaking Vivy because she doesn't know what a heart is. And we know this because she talks about it constantly. And I'm like, okay, we know you're trying to figure things out. But we like, can you just stop asking so many questions about this one thing that you're trying to figure out? And then we know that you're going to figure it out at the very end, and that's what's going to save the day. So yeah, that one kind of irked me. But for the most part, I kind of enjoyed this show. I do like the visual aspect of things, as Mason has pointed out. If you do like things looking good, then you'll like this show. And I found it entertaining too. I really liked how long the show, like the timeline of the show. I thought that was interesting. They took it over this 100-year capacity. You could see the world changing and AI's changing, and I thought that was really interesting because I don't really think there's a lot of anime out there that takes that long-term approach, at least in its in-show timeline.
Interesting, because I'm going to debate you on that, but we'll say
Oh,
that
boy.
for the spoiler.
Okay, so, and so generally, I thought it was at least a decent watch. There are so many shows that we have watched in recent times where I'm thinking to myself, I'm just banging my head against the table because we have to watch this. This show, at the very least, I was interested. I was entertained. So I think it's definitely worth a try.
For me, I would not recommend Vivy, probably. I don't feel like I got what I was expecting from the show. It's, I feel like it starts off as like an action show, but quickly pivots away from that. And there's just way too much like melodramatic shit that I just don't care about. You're going to throw like multiple episodes at me where they're just like talking about, I want to make people happy with my singing. And I just tune out. Like, I'm like, this is way too cheesy, way too stupid. I don't care. I don't give. I will never care about that. It's just not interesting. I'm not. I don't care, Vivy. Like, I don't care. And whatever the little girl was in the middle of the show, I don't care what. I don't care what that she wants to make people happy. Like, good for you, but save it for somebody else.
Is that what, Ophelia?
Yeah. What are you talking about? The other singer? Girl?
Yeah, the other singer that was
Yeah, Ophelia.
spouting the same shit, and ultimately, I just wasn't interested. It was really hard for me to watch. I lost my focus like almost immediately, and the blistering like explosions and gunfire and fighting and stuff that I think I was offered, like, it just disappeared very quickly, and I don't think I got enough of that down the line, and ultimately I feel like I was kind of sold a fake bill of goods. But people are fucking loving this anime. Like, the ratings online for this show would make you think like this is the best shit ever. It's probably the highest rated show from the season it came out. I gotta check this because it is. Let me just see.
Yeah.
Let's hope not.
The ratings.
It's not
The ratings
best
are
show.
pretty high.
They are very
it's like
high.
8.7 or something.
Yeah, it is. It's got an 8.52, which is the exact same score as To Your Eternity. Yeah, the Fruits Basket. The Fruits Basket final season is in that particular season, and that's currently the 6th highest rated show ever. So that's kind of hard to beat. But yeah, I just don't feel like it lived up to that hype, and so yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's super unforgettable or super forgettable, and I don't know. Vivy's just like you said, Hatsune Miku. So okay.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I want to hear this debate. So let's get into spoilers and let's let it rip.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god!
All right. Ding, ding, ding. Round 1. Just kidding.
So I think the beginning of this show had excellent world building. Right off the bat, like, they used all this technology in interesting ways. Like, an emergency would come and like the light posts would dispel like these police barrier lines. And there was all these drones and this and that, and so many elements that I really thought was cool and pulled me in. And I will say honestly, the first 2 arcs of the show I enjoyed. The show was clicking with me, absolutely. And as Caroline mentioned, like, the show takes place over 100 years, but in these segmented jumps as Vivy jumps from like big important plot point to another to kind of change the course of history. And while I like that effect, and you can kind of see like how general feelings towards the robot has changed, or like the relationship between humans and AI, like, the world never really advanced on like a technological. It was always kind of like jumping to the same sort of place. It didn't feel like the technology like exponential rise was all that like apparent in the world. And I think it's because they were just like, oh, it's the future, and they were not focusing on the technology as much. But I wanted to see them not just be like, oh, now we have self-driving taxi, and that be it.
And also clothing that lights up.
Yeah, that was really it. We got new. So I guess it wasn't that hard of a disagree. I just wanted to see more of like
a little bit more of the difference.
Yeah, if someone did the show and they're like, oh, the 1980s, there's this AI uprising, and then they jump to this era and it looked the exact same as the 80s, you'd be like, well, I don't know if I really saw that development in the world itself, which is a small gripe. This didn't make or break the show, but I was hoping for that change of the world beyond just, we think robots are a little more evil than we did a decade ago.
Yeah. I mean, it probably would have also helped if they made it clear how much time has passed in between each jump. Because you'd be like, okay, so what point are we now? And sometimes Matsumoto would say like 15 years. It's been 15 years since we last seen each other. And I'm like, okay, great. So we know how much time has passed. But otherwise, you're kind of just guessing. Like, how close are we to the end of the universe again?
Yeah, they tried to throw stuff like, oh, Vivy's now like 66 years old. Yikes, really old lady.
Like, she's a robot. Just chill out.
Anyway, so I don't know if it was really a debate.
I guess not.
I'm kind of disappointed personally. I would also not recommend that debate to people. It's okay. I mean, you guys are in the same room. You could really just get like animated about it. Come on, throw some
really
fucking
could, but
fists.
We could throw punches, but this is my house.
Do it.
Caroline is a top 1 cadet in the Air Force, and I am number 2.
Yes,
so,
a difference of 0.02 points as we
exactly. So she
wins.
wins. Yeah, listen to Hobby Addicts for that. I mean, really, I think a big part of the show is Vivy jumps from point to point, doing these actions that she's kind of told to save this future, and it just seems to seem at odds. Like, maybe if you went back and rewatched the show, her actions would make sense, but it seemed like, oh, first goal is to save this guy to help the bill pass, and then it's like,
no, not even. Like, she was supposed to, like, they were supposed to stop the bill from
the
passed.
first time they save him because, oh, if you don't save him, the bill won't pass. So they save him so the bill passes. And then later, the next time she goes to save him so that the bill won't pass.
Wait, but the first time nobody saved him.
In the first
nobody
timeline,
even knew.
But I'm saying the first, like, her action was saving him. And then she saved him to help the bill, like, get further in the process. And then later they're like, nope, we changed our mind. Now you have to save him because his death won't channel. It was just a disconnect between this whole subplot of saving the world and plenty of time to be like, what does it mean to have a heart? And those two, they kept on trying to push these two elements closer together, and they just never wanted to congeal in one thing. And they kind of got as best as they could, because it's not an easy thing to do, but I think it was just a little too ambitious with not enough payoff to get that satisfaction.
It's so overplayed. Like, I mean, really, again, what does it mean to have a heart?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
that
just
is like the question you ask in every AI
Kingdom
story.
Hearts, yeah.
It's just so fucking tired. I'm so tired. And the other thing I'm tired of, and I know I'm like curmudgeonly as hell, and it's just like, oh, Mitsugi, like, you're just old, you know, get over it. Is that like this is an original anime? They had the freedom to do whatever they wanted, and the sidekick, at least for like the beginning of the show, is a fucking talking bear.
We knew it.
Yeah, we knew
so
you were gonna
upset.
like Matsumoto.
It's so dumb. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sure people are like, "Oh, I love the bear," but it's like, I'm not 12 years old. Okay, I am in my mid-30s. And honestly, this anime is rated R. It's a rated R show.
It
says it right here, rated R, 17 plus, violence and profanity.
It's the brutality.
I mean,
did you like him anymore when he turned into the Portal companion cube?
he's still a bear. Honestly, he just is. Yeah.
Once a bear, always a bear.
Yeah, he did become the Portal Cube or whatever, but like, it's just I'm never gonna like it. I didn't like it in Gleipnir. I didn't like it in Danganronpa. I didn't like it in the fucking theme park Amagi Brilliant Park, and I'm not gonna like it in this anime either. I'm never gonna like it. It almost kills it for me immediately. I'm just like, they must think that like anime fans just love stupid shit. Do you guys think a talking stuffed animal bear is like appealing? Especially in this type of
Not
an anime?
specifically, but I
No.
didn't really find it bothersome either.
I mean, I don't know.
I
It's
think
like
I think it was a little bothersome. I think Matsumoto, just as a character, was more bothersome than him being a bear. Now,
well,
I will say,
he's an asshole for sure. I mean,
I did warm up to him. I did eventually kind of get where he was coming from. I did like when he became the Kingdom Hearts gummy ship, but I there was just I think I'll jump to this now. I think my biggest problem with the show was the dialogue writing. It was so over-explanatory without saying much. Like there was a whole point where Vivy gets rebooted and she kind of forgets her memories. And then they have Matsumoto re-explain the entire show again through just dialogue. And it really took me out of
Yeah.
it because it was so cheesy and it really is what faltered.
Have you ever-
and I
have
think
you ever
Vivy
played
and
an
Matsumoto
RPG?
are just uninteresting characters.
yeah, but you
I
ever
have.
play. So you know how in RPGs when there's like this big story, it's already unfolded, and like some new character comes in and they're gonna fill them in on what's happened, and rather than just sit there and spout dialogue at you for like 12 years, they just fade to black and then come back and then they're like, oh my god,
Yep.
blah blah blah, like, ding ding ding. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it solves that. Speaking of Vivy getting her memory wiped for a second, can we talk about
Yeah, the
really?
snapping.
I'm gonna just nope. Snapping again, baby. You can't stop the snaps.
Because she's a diva.
I'm a
Snap.
diva, baby. I'm sassy, and this is diva mode. And I
Why?
get like maybe like it was so off. It wasn't that she was snapping; is that it was so like arbitrarily used. And maybe they were just like, oh, it's a robot learning how humans snap. Like maybe they were just saying like, oh, when she snaps, she can sing. So later on, when she starts snapping, you're like, oh, she's about to sing. Like it was just so poorly done.
It
I
just
didn't get it.
mean anything. And it just distracted.
Yikes.
The show does look great.
But but you said that I know that you had an issue with the whole mixture of like feasible animated art style and then the close-ups when they get super detailed and they get
the hyper detailed eyes, and it was just like, this is not the same show. Like I get that you have Vivy in the world, you have Vivy like in the archive in like the dream space where she's a little different. Like I get that, and I get that the fights look really good and fluid, and I love all these things separately. But when kind of subpar goofy looking Vivy is all of a sudden snapped up against crazy eye panel Vivy queued up next to this, like it just looks so inconsistent that yes, it's a flex, but it didn't belong there, and it just took me out of it. And like maybe they were just too good at animation in some areas where it didn't connect. And also I'll point it out because it bugged me so much. There were so many like fake deaths at the end during the big action sequence. There's a lot or part, I think it's the last episode, where Matsumoto in cube form is like riding the evil cube, and you see him blow up. Like the body like puffs out and he expands, and you see him explode. He explodes. There's no doubt about it. Like it looks like it. And then the next scene he's fine. And it's like, why? Like you can only trust what you see, and when you lie to me like that, you feel like a goober. So I don't know.
A goober.
It looked good, but just not. I just don't like the inconsistency of it.
And there was just so much going on with certain scenes like that. I didn't even remember that happened, and I still don't remember what that happened when Mason's talking about it.
It was a small thing, but it was just like, if you want me to care about your animation by making it great, I will watch. And when you have these moments that just fall short of what you're communicating, it was like, I still love Wit. It still was a good looking show, but just lost itself.
Oh,
I mean,
Wit Studio is great.
I generally liked Vivy and Matsumoto, though, as funny as that seems. Like, Vivy is a very kind of dry character, especially before she gets rebooted, and then Matsumoto is pretty annoying sometimes. But eventually, I liked their partnership because, it got a little bit more they started to like each other a little bit more towards the middle and the end. So
I like the relationship between Vivy and Matsumoto, but in the world, they kind of play this weird middleman role where they're going to these places and they have to do something to make a change, but they can't really change the world. So they're kind of like just moderately affecting the world as little as possible to no effect. And you're just like, I don't know, they felt like kind of duds because of it. Like they didn't get their full character because they're not the character, the world is. But then the world doesn't change and they don't change, and it just felt so stagnant. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just I just honestly wasn't interested. Really, it just lost me around episode 6, maybe 7. And
it's funny that you mentioned that, Mitz, because I watched the first 6 episodes like a few months back. And if you had asked me back then, I would be like, yeah, it's a pretty solid show. It has its flaws, but it's fine. And then when I came back to this for the review, I started at episode 7, which is kind of the Ophelia arc.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just being away that long, but like all the shining, dazzling lights I had for it kind of faded away. And every scene just wasn't connecting with me. And I think at the end of the day, I was talking with Caroline, is there's this big, big musical number at the end where all the memories and big climax is happening. And I felt so unaffected by it. I didn't feel hopeful. I didn't feel teary-eyed. I didn't feel emotional or longing or contemplative. I felt just meh. I just was watching and I'm like, yeah, I guess the music sounds all right, but it is delivering nothing. And it fell so short of, I think, what it was going for. And the dialogue and the writing and this emotional beats where, I mean, you have to consider the intent of the show, and I think it didn't hit that, at least for me personally. And I could see someone being like, yes, these songs connected with me, the visuals wowed me, and I love it, and great. It wasn't clicking.
yeah, I would say that at the very least, the songs and the animation is quite good. But yeah, I didn't really feel anything either.
So I will also say, when the show, especially when she's in diva mode and she's like, oh, did you hear that song? Wasn't it so good? My voice was so perfect. This is peak music. It was so wonderful. I'm like, okay, lady, check yourself. It wasn't that good, if we're being honest. So like when a show like tries to sell you on it I'm like, okay, no, it wasn't really that good. So I thought when it got too cocky, I kind of turned out a bit more.
But actually, speaking of that, because I had this whole... I like to look at things logistically, which obviously is not how you should be watching an anime. But I can't get over the fact that, okay, so you have first half diva who is just looking to improve her singing and to garner an audience to make them happy with her singing. And then she suffers a mental breakdown. She gets rebooted, and now she is Diva 2.0 with no memories of anything. And she's amazing. She can capture this audience. She's the biggest star in the whole freaking world. And I would think that means that she is now able to capture their hearts with her singing. But then when she snaps out of that and she goes back to being, Diva 1.0 / Vivy, she can't anymore. And then she realizes eventually that in order to sing with her heart, she must sing with those memories. But here you have Diva 2.0 singing with her heart, with no memories. So what does that mean?
Maybe that's why I didn't feel anything.
But who cares if she's singing with her heart? Who fucking cares?
We know.
God damn.
I'm just trying to figure out the logistics of this show.
Decapitate somebody.
Felt bad. It also felt bad when they're like, oh, we need to like reduce the rights of the AI because, they're humans, or like they're like humans. We should treat them like humans. It was like, well, wait, if they're like humans, we should probably give them more rights, but that creates the downfall. So they're humans, so we want to restrict their rights so that they live. It felt like you didn't know
what was going to affect what.
Like, what's the cost of saving the world is by like enslaving these creatures? Like, I don't know. I like the ideas. I very much relate the show to what we just reviewed, Godzilla, where it had a lot of good ideas, a lot of ambition, and maybe just we weren't the target audience, or I wasn't, and it felt flat. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, anyway. Yeah,
there was this other funny moment that I thought about. Sorry.
Go
okay,
ahead.
so we got Ophelia, You got this little girl, and then her autonomy is taken over by her.
Antonio, or whatever his name.
You got this very gravelly and low voice coming out of this little girl.
I was trying to jump in the way they did it in the show.
Yeah. And I just couldn't help. I could not take it seriously at all because here you have this little girl with Antonio.
Oh god, yeah, that was the most
Can't
bizarre
do
shit.
it.
Yeah, that was
I
pretty
actually
weird.
watched that both subbed and dubbed because I wanted to hear
How
they
was
did
it?
It was very funny both times.
Anyway,
That's all I've got.
Yeah.
I was just really disappointed in summary because I pull the show up and it's like got an 8.5. I'm like, okay, well, people like this show a lot, and I get it. It's like reviews online are bullshit mostly, but like an 8.5 is like pretty high. That means that like most people really liked it, and I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be really good, and I just wasn't interested. I don't know if it just didn't hit the notes. I just think it's got too many cliches. I'm starting to think that like the Android, Ghost in the Shell stuff is just overdone and boring at this point. Like, I am completely disinterested in any plot line that involves anything about like android rights or what it means to be human or their heart or fucking whatever. I just don't care. It's too overdone. It's been explored. We've explored it. If you don't bring something drastically new to the table, then to me it's just a rehash, and you can only watch that shit so many times. But it was just really disappointing, I think, and maybe it was unrealistically high expectations to start with, but not really what I wanted. I'd probably give it. I don't even fucking know. I'd love to decapitate that stuffed animal bear. That would be great. She should have ripped him. She should have just ripped him apart from the start because he's. God, why? It's like if you were watching the Terminator, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he comes out of the lightning thing and he's all like his all glistening muscular buttocks. It's like he's just massive quadriceps, and he stands up and he looks down at the ground, and you know what's not talking to him? Like a miniature fucking version of the Easter Bunny. Like, it's just not in the Terminator because it just doesn't fit. So when we're like decapitating people and like, ripping people, like shooting people and killing people, what doesn't fit is a talking stuffed animal. It just doesn't work. The only time I think it ever worked was in Akira. In that like few moments where like they were just trying to make themselves look, just disguise themselves or whatever, and then that went away pretty quick. But I don't know. Maybe there's a time and a place for a stuffed animal in an anime, but it's not in a rated R story about AI, destroying humanity. So I'm gonna give this I don't know, 2 people that her heart, that she clearly didn't reach their heart, out of 5. Or 2 podcasters, maybe I should say.
Yeah, maybe when they're dropping the satellites and they're like putting out the global thing, like, hey, everyone evacuate, but not humans. Definitely humans don't evacuate. AIs only. It's like, why didn't you just tell them digitally? Like, why did you have to? Anyway, I get why people enjoyed this show. I think there was just a little bit too much whiplash in the admittedly good animation for me to get behind. I think for every musical flourish, a lot of the characters were very dull, and like I said, the writing was just insufferable. I don't know. I really didn't feel much watching the show. I think the way they wanted it to, and I just, like I said, very similar to Godzilla, so I'm gonna give it the same score, 2 fluorite eyes out of 5, and that's very generous too, if I'm being honest.
Goodness
This
gracious.
was almost a 1.5, but I think looking back on the first half of the show, I was like, there's enough here to salvage. Maybe if this was like a couple arcs, it would have been, I don't know. But yeah, 2 out of 5 is my final verdict.
Don't be influenced by our hatred, Caroline. Give it your honest score.
Yeah. I always find it hard trying to rank things. It all depends on your mood of the day.
Yeah, it's as a number as more objective as it seems compared to the 1,000 words we just said before.
Yeah.
Like, it is very loose and will flow.
Yeah. See, I enjoyed the show. I'd say I enjoyed it more than Godzilla. Just because I found it a little bit easier to watch and not, like, you can turn your brain off a little bit more and just enjoy watching it, for me personally. The music was good. The fight scenes were pretty good. The deaths were surprisingly brutal. I thought those, I was surprised by that. I didn't know it was rated R. I thought it was interesting because maybe I don't really watch a lot of AI stuff, but I think I'd give it 3 Mitsugis tearing off the heads of teddy bears out of 5.
So you would say "as you like my pleasure"?
As you like my pleasure.
What does that even mean? I ask people.
I don't know.
God.
I have no idea. I thought the same exact thing. What does that mean? What are they even trying to mean?
Normally the fucked up English, I can tell what it means. Like, for example, I've talked about this a few times now. Blue Sea, they say, give me your foxy night game. I kind of get it. They're trying to say Tokyo's this like sexy, dark, mysterious place at night, or whatever. But like, as you like my pleasure, I cannot possibly understand what that is. And I was asking on the Discord, I said, if you are a songwriter and you're like writing a song, they're stamping your name behind it. This is your career. And it's like, I didn't even bother to spend like $12 so that a 14-year-old kid on Fiverr.com could say, yeah, as you like my pleasure, it doesn't really make any fucking sense. Maybe, no. What were you going for? And then just fix it. No, they don't put forth a damn bit of effort. Good Lord. If you're writing like, if you're writing like a paper in German for high school, I would hope that you would put at least that much effort in to know that like what you're writing makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, because for the love of God, just hire a 14-year-old kid on Fiverr to for like $8, he would definitely be able to tell you if these 7 words or whatever are grammatically correct. But no, we just don't care.
Everyone in the audience being like, as you like counting on their
As
fingers.
you like my...
6.
Yeah.
What does it
No,
fucking
those are
mean?
syllables. I think maybe it's meaning something like, it would be my pleasure to give you what you want. Maybe something like that. It wouldn't fit. But it's
like
but
whatever
I
you
think
want,
that's
it's
what
my
they're trying
pleasure
go
to give it
for.
to you. But maybe, like I'm not really sure. Yeah. I'd like her to tear that stuffed animal bear apart. That's what I'd like. Anyway, guys, so wow, I'm so hateful. I'm just like fuck Vivy. Just honestly, just like what the fuck. Anyway. So thanks for listening to the podcast, guys. Next week we're going to talk about Shadow's house. So that should be good. It can't be worse. It'll definitely, I think, be enjoyable. I'm hoping. This is one of Caroline's, I believe.
Yeah.
Don't let us down, Caroline.
We'll see how it goes. I haven't watched it since Impressions.
Our friend BCom
I've
on our
watched
Twitch says Shadow's house is good. Get hype. So I'm hoping for that.
Okay, so we're gonna blame him if it's not.
I will keep my mouth shut for the time being.
Oh. Yes, please.
Oh, not to bury the lead. So if you want to follow us on social media, the podcast is at AAA Podcast. I honestly deleted my Twitter app. It's been fine. But you can follow me at Pope Mitsugi, I guess, if you want to. I'm not going to be posting on there for the time being. But Mason is at Macy Pacey. I recommend you follow Mason. All the follows that I would get, give them all to Mason. He can take them, and then go follow the podcast as well. If you want to make Caroline very happy, go follow the podcast. Then get on Facebook, follow us on Facebook, groups/AAA podcast. Can't miss it. And I'm going to be honest, if you're not on the Discord, I don't know what you're doing, because the Discord is clearly the place to be. It has anime club, it has manga club, it has watch parties. People on there just like you. I know we've been preaching this for ages, but like, you want to make 2,000 friends. You want to do karate in the garage? Go get on the Discord. You definitely want to be checking that out. It's a good place to be. And again, aaapodcast.com/join. You can get your hentai episodes, your hobby addicts, your after parties. You're going to get our show notes. You're going to get 8 exclusive podcast episodes, all for like, less than $1 a month, which is helping us out, and it's bringing you more content. So, and above all, subscribe and rate us on iTunes. Leave a 5-star review. I will love you a long time. Shadow's house next week.
As you like
my pleasure.
As you like my pleasure. Good Lord.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys. After party. I think we're doing an after party.